May is Invasive Plant Awareness Month in the city of Nanaimo, and today we're heading into the bush with some workers from the city of Nanaimo to get rid of those pesky species. On today's show, Legion support for Trevor Green, character makeup, it's not about beautiful, and a road trip to a Vancouver Island wilderness. That and more in the next 30 minutes. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4, and as we mentioned, May is Invasive Plant Awareness Month in the city of Nanaimo, and one of the most common, most invasive plants perhaps is Scotch Broom. Michelle is a horticulturalist with the city of Nanaimo. It is Scotch Broom, isn't it?
It is Scotch Broom,
and
yes.
There are different kinds of broom?
This is the most common. This is our big invasive here in Nanaimo.
Okay, I wouldn't even recognize this. We saw a tiny little one here. And that is, it's okay to, you don't want to pull it, is that right?
You do want to pull anything that is the size of a pencil or smaller. You want to pull when the ground is moist. So really right now, the ground is a little too dry.
Okay.
But November through January, when the ground is moist, you want to pull these little guys before they bloom.
Okay.
They won't set seed for 2 to 3 years. So you can pull these, and that's the best way to get them out.
Okay, now the one that's bigger here,
Anything
you don't want to
bigger,
pull.
No, you don't want to pull those. You want to cut these when they're in bloom. And if you look right at the top, this one is just starting. You can just see the little bit of yellow up there.
And so the time is perfect right now.
The time is perfect right now to cut them.
And why do you want to cut them in bloom?
They're at their most stressed.
Okay.
So
doesn't that just spread the seeds everywhere then?
No, because they haven't set seed yet.
Okay, right.
You want to cut them before they set seed. Right up until they're green seed pods, as soon as they turn black, absolutely leave them.
Leave them, okay.
Yeah.
And how important is it to get down under the ground? Where do you cut it?
You want to cut it right at the surface.
I'll move this out of the way so we can see too.
You just want to cut it right in here in the surface. Yeah, blackberries.
We're going to talk about those later.
So you want to cut it right here. Sorry.
That's why we're dressed like this. We're literally going to be in the bush today.
So, and then after you cut it, these guys don't want to grow in shaded conditions. You won't see them back in this bush.
Okay.
So after you cut it, right at the surface, you can either put a little rock on it or just kind of cover it up. Okay. And it'll trick it into being shaded out.
Okay, and you can do this everywhere, your backyard, your back alley, wherever you see it.
Absolutely. And then the big thing is, take this out.
Okay.
Leaving it there, you don't want to leave big piles of it. Take it out, remove it, take it to one of the drop sites.
Okay, and we're going to tell you later on this edition of Go Island about the drop sites that the city is hosting throughout the month of May, and we're going to tell you why it's so important. I think I have some flowers on my face. Why it's so important to get rid of invasive species in our area. The story of veteran Trevor Green really caught the attention of the Royal Canadian Legion, and it got them thinking about how they can and need to support our veterans a little more. Here's Rayanne LaPlante. To help contribute to Trevor's campaign, you can do so by visiting legionbcyukon.ca. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4, and it's kind of fun to be out here in the bush at Westwood Lake in Nanaimo. We're talking invasive plants. This time it's ivy. Tony tells me this is not something you want climbing up a tree.
Nope, what it's going to do is add a lot of weight to the tree and possibly choke it out, causing it to fall over. It covers the forest floor and reduces space for our native species. So I'll show you how to take care of it.
And it grows really fast. I can see sort of the new buds, and it just looks like it'll be up at the top by the end of the summer.
It does proliferate really fast and climbs up a lot of trees once it starts to take hold.
Okay, I think it looks pretty though. It looks like historic. It adds a lot of character. It seems cozy to me, but not a good way to think about it.
It's not something we want around. It is invasive to Nanaimo.
Okay, easy to take down then? You've got
easy
some
enough
clippers
to take
here?
down, so we've got some clippers here for some of the bigger pieces, but all you need to do is start about 4 or 5 feet up and just pull off around the tree.
Okay. I don't have my gloves on. And how fast will this grow back then after we're pulling it off? Is this sort of like pruning it?
It will grow back eventually if you don't remove it all, but what we're trying to do is get it off the tree. So we'll go 4 or 5 feet up like we've done, and remove like this, and then we'll try to remove around the bottom.
Okay.
A little bit. If you can get a few feet out, it'll keep it away from the trees. And if you have hand pruners or big loppers for some of the bigger pieces, Sometimes this can get pretty thick, so to use some big loppers, be careful not to damage the tree itself. And
then don't leave what you cut down.
Don't leave what you cut down. Remove it out onto a tarp and take it away to some of our drop stations that we'll have set up.
Excellent. Okay, I think that's it. Anything else you want to say? I feel like I cut you off.
No, I think that was good.
I think that was good.
Was that short enough?
It was short enough. We're going to finish up with this tree. In the meantime, Max Dowie is a makeup artist who doesn't focus on making people more beautiful, but rather changing actors into characters. Here's Derek Johnstone. In my case, makeup is purely aesthetic enhancement. You wouldn't want to see me in the morning pre-makeup. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. This is Luke. We're now removing some blackberries, and you're really getting into it. You're not just cutting the stems.
Yeah, no, it's really important to get this root knuckle out.
Why?
Well, this root
if you were just to cut it off right here.
You could cut this off year after year, but there's a lot of stored energy in that root. It'll just keep throwing out suckers.
Okay, so by taking this out, it's not going to grow back.
Well, it might, because blackberries have a lot of seeds.
Okay.
And if this area's had blackberries in it for a long time, there'll be quite a few seeds left in the soil.
Now, one of the things I love about Nanaimo and my neighborhood in particular is that I can go walking around at a certain time of year and just come home with buckets full of blackberries, and that's a good thing.
It's true, it's a great thing.
But?
Yeah, everyone has fond memories of picking blackberries.
Yeah, so
it's a great food source.
Why are we getting rid of them then?
Well, we're not trying to eradicate blackberries, but it's important to keep natural areas like Garry Oak ecosystems and streams and rivers free of blackberries, because they tend to take over. You can look at this field here.
Yes, and this is just off the road at Westwood Lake, and it's covered. It'll take over.
There's very little biodiversity in here. They tend to take over an area, especially near streams, and they cause erosion because no other plants are allowed to take root.
Okay.
And yeah, that's a serious concern. So we want to find these areas where the habitat is sensitive and there's potential for more biodiversity.
Is there a good time of year?
Control blackberries.
Is there a good time of year to take it out?
This is a great time of year.
Okay.
Yeah. We want to be careful when we're removing blackberries around streams, because we can further speed up soil erosion by removing them at certain times of year.
Right. Okay.
So it's good to contact a biologist or an environmental technician before going into a fish habitat to remove them.
Okay. Good.
But yeah.
Excellent. Well, you can get more information through the City of Nanaimo's website. May is Invasive Plant Awareness Month. We're going to tell you how you can take your invasive plants that you've cut down yourself to drop zones instead of just leaving them lying around to regrow later. And you can get all the information, as I said, through the city's website. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back with more on Go. Still ahead today on Go Island, woodworking at North Island College and a road trip to Vancouver Island's geographical center. That and more still ahead today on Go. You are watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4, and today we're having a great time. We're actually bushwhacking at Westwood Lake looking for invasive species. May is Invasive Plant Species Awareness Month in the City of Nanaimo, and the first thing we're going to do before we talk about how you can get rid of your invasive species, where you can drop them off throughout the month, is identify what they are. And Susan's here to talk to us about one that looks like a rhododendron. This looks so pretty.
It's very pretty, but it's definitely an invasive species.
And what is it?
This is Daphne. And it's very pretty, like you said. It looks like a rhododendron, but it tends to invade forest areas. Unlike other invasive species, it doesn't need disturbed soil to reproduce. It can reproduce in the in unsettled forest areas, and it has a tendency to take over the forest because it can adapt to either sunlight or shade.
Okay, so it's pretty hardy, and it's pretty. Flowers? There's some flowers almost in full bloom
It's
there.
going to flower very soon, and it has very shiny black berries, and that is a way that it often spreads. The birds and animals in the forest will eat it and take it into the forest, and again, it's very adaptable to sun or shade, and then it takes over the forest floor, preventing native plants from growing there.
So like the broom, you probably want to get it before it actually goes to those berries,
That's
before
right.
it seeds.
Yes,
and if you see it seeding, leave it until next year.
That's right. The animals will take care of those seeds, so no problem. But yes, you
Okay.
know.
And you just yank it out, or how do you get it out of there?
Yank it out. Another important thing to note about Daphne is that it produces a sap that's actually very abrasive to your skin.
Okay.
So if you are pulling Daphne, make sure you're wearing your protective, gear, gloves. If you have eye gear, just that's also handy too.
Okay, we can get this out of your way. Oh, we are bushwhacking, like I said here.
That's right. If it's small enough, like this one, if it's tinier than a pencil,
Yep.
go ahead and pull it out.
Okay.
But if it is bigger, like something like this,
Yep.
just take some pruners or some loppers and just cut it at the base.
And like the broom, do you need to cover it up to put it in shade, or it doesn't matter?
It's not hugely important, but as a general rule with all invasive species, that's what I do.
Okay.
Yeah, just cover it up with debris or leaf debris in the forest, and that certainly will help. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Susan.
Yeah, no problem.
There are probably a countless number of careers in woodworking, and the Mid-Island College offers almost all of them. With a closer look, here is Jose Arujo. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. We're still hanging out in the bush at Westwood Lake looking for invasive species. We've touched on broom, blackberry, ivy, daphne, and what's left is holly. But holly's so, again, it's pretty. It's like festive. I'm looking for red berries to put on the mantle at Christmas time.
And it's great to do that, but you should cut it down and remove it
Okay.
because it does take over our lower lands and pushes out our other natural species.
Okay.
So
And the best way to do that?
is just to cut it right at the base if it's a small one. If it's a large one, just cut it like right with a chainsaw.
Okay.
But most of the young stuff we just cut or pull, the same as we would Daphne or any of the other plants.
Okay. And is it a certain time of year is best to pull it out?
Anytime.
Anytime.
Any time of the year. A lot of times, if we don't have time, we'll do a lot at Christmas time because then we can use the.
Oh, that makes sense.
You
Kind of
know?
killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah, as long as you pick up all the berries and everything and make sure you dispose of those also.
Okay, and again, don't just leave it lying where it cut. Take it out, get rid
Yes,
of it.
you have to
Okay.
remove it
We're going
completely.
to keep it short and sweet with you, Margaret. Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome.
We're going to tell you some places called drop zones that the city is setting up later in this edition of Go Island to make it easier for you not to just leave it lying around in your yard or in the bush. In the meantime, here's a road trip with Marjorie Greaves. Brings us to the end of this edition of Go Island, but we've been talking about drop zones for the last 30 minutes. Deborah Beck is with the city of Nanaimo. What is a drop zone for the month of May?
A drop zone is a place that you can bring your invasive plants, so not garden compost, but the invasive plants that we're specifying here, and we will get rid of them for you.
Great.
And they're on a number of locations at different times of our month, and you can find it on our calendar on our website. Anywhere between 10 and 3 o'clock, we will accept invasives at these different drop zones.
For no cost.
No cost.
Excellent. Now, one of the things you'll see on the calendar that you can see up close and with detail through the website are work parties. And there's a couple that have been pre-organized, but there's a real push to get you to organize your own work party.
That's right. We have a number of them that are planned, and you just register with our barcode so that we know how many people show up. But we're trying to encourage neighbors, schools, neighborhoods, groups to get out and do their own in their communities, their neighborhoods, around their schoolyards, and just make it a fun event. And then let us know when the invasives are all ready to be picked up. We'll see what we can do, or come and bring them to our drop zones.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
It's been a whole lot of fun bushwhacking today on Go Island. Just leave the blackberries by my house alone because I love them in the summertime. No, shouldn't
You
say
didn't hear that.
They need to come out. You didn't hear that. We'll see you next time.